is an introductory video about an app called Goblin Tools. Goblin Tools is an AI app. Artificial intelligence is all around the place now, but there's an awful lot of complicated applications and stuff that lead into AI. And this is quite a simple introductory way of using AI just to try and help you get organised. It's useful for people who find it difficult to organise themselves. They're not quite sure about the language they use. They're not quite sure about whether they're using the right tone when they're making comments and so on. So this just quickly goes through some of those things. Uses AI and the internet just to try and give you a general idea about planning and organising. And like everything else to do with AI, it just gives you what's out on the internet. It isn't necessarily the truth. It's not necessarily totally accurate. It is just telling you what's available and out there. So if you look at the what's called a hamburger, the top right hand corner of the three lines, you can see that when you click on that, there are 6 different things that you can do. I'm not going to go through all of those. Chef, for example, that is just if you have a series of ingredients, you can say what the ingredients you have, and it will come up with a list of things that you could prepare from those ingredients. Not really something particularly useful for us here. So let's have a look at, say, the first one on the right-hand side at the top, formalizer. If you click on formalizer, what formalizer does is it takes the text that you've got and it changes it into a different format. So in terms of the language that you're using. So, for example, if you have some text, well, let's say I'd put what I'd really thought I wanted to do, and I couldn't think about the best way to put it in terms of the wording, is I've seen a job I'd like to apply for, but how do I explain that in words that sound good to the employer? So you put what it is you think. So I put, I'd be good at working for you. I'd like a chance, please. Then what is it you actually want it to do with the text? There's a variety of different options. Make it more polite, make it less sarcastic, easier to read, more formal, informal. Well, we've gone for more professional. And if we then convert that, it uses the internet, goes away as I think about it, and then it comes back to with this. I believe that I possess the necessary skills and qualifications to access in a position at your company. I kindly request an opportunity to showcase my abilities. So that's just something you can use as an example, as a sort of idea, as a starter, just to sort of say, I like a bit of that, but I think I'm going to change it and make it different to me. It just gives you some hints and some pointers about what to do. So that's formalizer. Let's have a look at judge. Judge then is about what does the text come across? How does what you put, could that be interpreted by other people? Or how does what other people have put, could that be interpreted by you if you're being realistic? So once again, if we have a look, and I just sort of take the same kind of text and I can then paste that in here, if it will let me. So how does it take that information if somebody read that, the same information as we used before? So if you click on judge, it swirls around and then it comes back and gives you a bit of feedback on what the tone is of that. So based on that given text, it seems the individual is expressing enthusiasm and eagerness for a job opportunity. The tone appears to be optimistic, hopeful and assertive. So if you were to say that in a conversation to someone, it comes across as being positive. So that's actually quite good. Not necessarily what you want to use in an application letter or on an application form, but the tone, if you're actually discussing it, does come across as good. Other things then, you have estimator. What you've got in estimator is you can enter an activity and it will then look at something as you're doing and it will come back and say, I think that will take approximately this length of time. So you can then sort of say, that's good because I know that piece of work I wanted to do for college, that seems to think it's going to take me about 6 hours to do, or it's going to take me 18 hours to do, or 2 hours to do. So you've got a general idea about what it is it thinks in terms of how long it will take you to do a particular activity. Then we have compiler. Now, compiler is just where you cannot organise your thoughts. You've got a whole lot of different things you need to do in your head. it's a brain dump. You dump everything you've got going on in your head, all these things you need to do, but you don't know which is the ones you can do in which order, how long it's going to take. You can enter the brain dump there, and that will then turn them into tasks for you to do with subtasks and timings and so on. And finally, magic to do. So magic to do gives you a series of, it takes a big task that you've got and it will then break that down into smaller subtasks that you can then sort of have some idea about what you're going to do and the order you're going to do them in. And it also, if you wish it to, will give you some estimated time for each of those subtasks. So let's have a look and put something in there. So say I'm working in motor vehicle and I want to change spark plugs. Click the plus. Yes, it's in there, and then I click the magic wand, and that is going away, checking on the internet, and it's going to come back hopefully with a series of activities with some order that I can then do them in. You can add other tasks as well if you wish to. You can add other things, it doesn't have to just be one at a time. So with this one, it thinks, gather the necessary tools and materials, spark plugs, park the vehicle in a safe and flat area, allow the engine to cool down if it was recently running, open the vehicle's hood, obviously an Americanism there, locate the spark plug wires, follow them to the spark plugs, and so on. So it goes through point by point a way that, just to give you an inkling, an idea about a way you would go about changing spark plugs. You can then click on the information at the side, in that if you have the drop down, the estimate line there, the little box there, you can click on that, and that will give you an estimate about how long it's likely to take a particular one subtask, or it will give you an idea about how long it would take to do the whole thing if you're not sure. You've got the tick boxes on the side, so what you can do is, if you do decide to follow this through as being, I'm going to do these things one at a time after this, you can then tick them when you've done them, and it then crosses them off, and you can then bin them, and that just leaves you with the tasks that are left to do. So it helps you to keep up with, make sure you don't miss elements out, and you do things in the right order. So that's one particular task. You can click on that box and get rid of it, remove it. Say you're not interested in motor vehicles. Say you want to apply hair colouring to a client's hair. Okay, we could try that one. If it's hair that you're interested in, it's there, so you can click on the wand, and it goes away, checks on the internet, sees where all these different sources that refer to these kinds of things, and then it will come back with a series of ideas about what to do. So set up the workstation with all it, discuss with the client the desired hair colour, conduct a strand test, put on gloves to protect the hands, section the client's hair, apply a barrier cream to prevent staining, and so on. I don't know whether those are realistic or not, but they certainly seem generally quite reasonable to me. But you would know, and it would give you some pointers to go away and say, I need to find out more about that. So that's one in terms of hair colouring. Or you could say, maybe I want to write my personal statement for UCAS. And I'm quite happy with that. And it swirls around and then comes back, and it gives you something to think about, some idea about a direction you might want to plan or go about, or some information you might want to go away and find out more about. So reflect on your experiences, achievements and goals. Research the requirements and guidelines. Make a list of your strengths, skills and interests. Brainstorms, ideas and themes. Write an outline or structure. Begin with a captivating introduction, and so on. So it will go through all of those that you can then sort of use to give you some direction and so on to do it. That is a very quick introduction into Goblin Tools. Like I've said, it's only as good as the information on the internet. It isn't telling you exactly how you should do things. It gives you some indication about a good way to start planning, so you can look into things yourself. It may be very, very accurate. You can use it as it is, but with anything else that's AI, do be careful, because it's just going to repeat what it finds on the internet. It isn't actually making those decisions itself. Goblin Tools is available for free on iPhones and Android, and it's also available via the Goblin Tools website, so you can just do it directly on the computer. Thank you for listening.